Let's talk more politics now of the presidential variety as we are joined by our dear friend, WPHT talk host, and so much more, former presidential advisor, political analyst extraordinaire from the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia. It's our friend Dick Morris. Dick, welcome back to our program.
Hey, JD, thank you for not mentioning which president I advised.
Well, we all take our lumps in the arena in terms of politics. Now, in terms of what you have for us today, I understand that there's a little contradiction, and that may be an understatement, concerning Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. She originally opposed Iran sanctions, but now takes credit for those sanctions. Elaborate on that, if you would, please, sir.
Yeah. In her speech a week ago at the American Jewish Committee, Hillary gave a full-throated defense of her record as Secretary of State. She likened it to a relay race where you get the baton, you run like hell, and you hand off the baton to John Kerry. But the only specific that she cited was that she worked tirelessly, she said, on behalf of sanctions on Iran. But the record shows the exact opposite. And the leading Republican who pushed those sanctions, Mark Kirk, Republican senator from Illinois, says that she's just totally rewriting history. Hillary opposed every one of those sanctions. Just at the outset of her tenure in 2009, Congress wanted a sanction to stop refined gasoline from going into Iran. And Hillary worked hard to beat it, postponed it for a year, and then ultimately it passed. In 2011, the Congress wanted to take the crucial step of sanctioning the Central Bank of Iran, which is, after all, like the Federal Reserve. It's the core of the Iranian economy, and to stop anyone from doing business with it, expanding the sanctions from just the military sector to the banking sector. And Hillary's Deputy Secretary of State, Wendy Sherman, said she was strongly opposed. Her number two at the State Department, Bill Burns, went to Capitol Hill, met with senators, and begged them not to pass it. They said, oh, if you interfere with central banking, God knows it'll be a worldwide problem. And the bill passed unanimously. Then in 2012, she continued her opposition to the sanctions. At that point, they were going to sanction SWIFT, say that the Iran couldn't participate in the global financial clearinghouse. Again, Hillary opposed it, and it passed. And then finally, at the end of her tenure in 2012, she begged for a 6-month delay in implementing sanctions on Iran, additional sanctions. She got it, and during that 6 months, Iran sold oil to Turkey and got massive gold reserves back that really shored up its hard currency reserves. So for her to take credit for these sanctions is the height of hypocrisy.
Dick, just to elaborate a little more, you mentioned Senator Mark Kirk. Here's what he told the Daily Beast. Secretary Clinton's comments are a blatant revision of history. The fact is, the Obama administration has opposed sanctions against Iran, led by Senator Menendez and me every step of the way, as was thoroughly documented at the time, close quote. Now, coming back, a couple of other stories. First chance we've had to talk to you about Hillary's situation in terms of the Karl Rove comments about her health. Mrs. Clinton, Secretary Clinton, Senator Clinton, depending on her station in life, has been able to become the focus of sympathy during the bulk of her public career. Does the Karl Rove episode give her a chance again to be the victim or elicit sympathy?
Well, she's about to accuse Karl Rove of beating up a grandmother. But I think that the questions Rove raised do deserve an answer. Hillary apparently fell, and we don't know why, hit her head, and it caused a blood clot just outside her brain in her head. And that blood clot was treated for 3 days inpatient in the hospital with Coumadin and other blood thinners. Then a bill came out and said Hillary worked for 6 months to overcome the damage and worked very hard every single day, which implies she was in physical therapy for 6 months. Now, you don't do physical therapy for a blood clot. It either is a stroke or it's not. And if the blood clot dissipated without a stroke, you wouldn't do 6 months of therapy. And the other question, of course, is what caused the fall. Remember, Hillary in 10 fell in a parking garage when she was walking with Holbrook and broke her elbow. So these are just things that you have to look at. Look, Hillary and I are the exact same age. She's 1 month older than I am. So when you get to be our age, you got to take things like falls seriously. But just one other comment on Iran. The thing that Hillary said in her statement that was accurate was she said she worked to twist arms on the Security Council to get them to impose sanctions after we did. But then there was a story out last week that Snowden, the leaker, said that Susan Rice, released an email from Susan Rice, asking the NSA's help in rounding up those swing votes on the Security Council, particularly Gabon, Bosnia, Uganda, and Nigeria. And they all voted with us. Did Hillary use the NSA to spy on those folks? She was Susan's boss.
Well,
good question.
That's the questions out there, right?
Dick put it out there. Dick, thanks for being with us today, and thanks for your insight on those topics. Of course, everyone's going to be parsing what Hillary Clinton did or did not say for the next 2 years here. We'll be back with more.
And we want to know where you stand. Do you think it's going to be President Hillary in 2016? Why don't you tweet us your comments at Newsmax TV?